Joining me to discuss the relationship between the executive and the legislature is Ismail Ahmed, who is a member of the APC BOT. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you.
So how would you describe the relationship? Quite a number of people say the relationship is frosty. Is that a word you will use?
Well, I don't know if I would call it frosty, but of course there are disagreements. And just like the clip you showed of the President of the Senate speaking after his meeting with the President, by nature, a constitutional democracy that recognizes and assigns roles to different arms of government is designed in itself to give certain constitutional responsibilities of checks and balances between the three arms of government. So I think this is not new, really, probably because of the the provision of digital media and how news travel faster and how people can exaggerate things easily and how it can go viral within seconds.
Exaggerate, did you say?
Yeah, well, some of these things are exaggerated. I think
just yesterday, we heard the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, dismissing that there was a row between the executive and the legislature. We also heard the Speaker, Yakubu Dogara, talking about how this is good for democracy. Ideally, the relationship between the executive and the legislature should not be one that is too pally-pally, as it were. And then just last week, we saw on the floor of the Senate, the senators complaining about the executive's seeming lack of disrespect for the motions and, what it is they decide within the chambers of the Senate, and their refusal to consider some names sent to them for confirmation, as some form of protest over what was, what they considered disrespect by the executive arm of government. Do you think that is, how the relationship should be?
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that constitutional democracy in itself is designed to provide checks and balances. Now, there will be disagreements, yeah. There will be a couple of few fisticuffs here and there. I remember President Obasanjo had a ministerial nominee rejected 3 times or so, Professor Borishadi at one point. There are so many things that have happened between legislature and the executive in the past, even after the reintroduction of democracy in 1999 to date. So I don't think this is certainly not good for our party, precisely because we are in control of both the Villa and the National Assembly, and part of the reasons why most of us that were out in the trenches campaigning to get most of our elected officials to be members of the party was so that our agenda in the party and manifesto could be seamlessly implemented for the benefit of Nigerians. So are we happy? Are we happy with what's going on? Absolutely. No. Do we hope that it was smoother? Absolutely. But in itself, this is not something. I think some of these disagreements are way exaggerated, and it's within the right of any arm of government to complain when certain things are not going its way. But I don't think it's such a bad situation.
I'm happy that you're going down the line of party affiliation, because yes, you have justified, that this should happen within a constitutional democracy. But then, people wonder how it is that within one party, the APC seems to be playing as an opposition to itself in the name of separation of powers.
Well, it's not in the name of separation of powers. First and foremost, separation of powers is a constitutional issue, so that cannot be in the name of separation. It's a fundamental issue in the Constitution because it's grounded in the ground norm. So it cannot be in the name. It's not trivial. Separation of powers is real. It's the essence of presidential democracy. So you can't just, refer to it as just one of these things that people just call for the sake of putting one argument to another. But yeah, we would like to see a smoother relationship. We hope that the meeting of yesterday between the President and the presiding officers of the National Assembly, the Senate President and the Speaker, and the subsequent meetings that the party will be holding with the caucuses, of the party caucuses in the Senate, would further now engender this smooth relationship between party members and let's just get over this triviality.
I'm going to quote to you the words of, I think it's the governor of Imo State, who at one point, because it's not the first time this has happened, we understand that your party will be holding a meeting today. This is not the first time it happened. At some point, we saw the governor of Imo State lead a delegation of some APC members to try and sort out the differences between the executive and the legislative arm of government. He said that when bills or when motions are passed on the floor of the Senate, we have to ask whether or not we have, whether we have majority PDP members or we have majority opposition members, or whether our members are sufficient enough, because the motions that come out of the National Assembly don't look like motions that should come out of a, National Assembly that is populated by our party members. That was what he said us at that time. Was that in the reflection of separation of powers?
Well, I would want to ask an example of that motion, because if you are talking to me about particular public officers who are in the executive, and then the Senate taking a position about certain way certain things should be done, I don't think there are motions that are counter to what the party manifesto is. I have not honestly seen any motion from the National Assembly that would clearly be said to be counter what the APC's manifesto is, in clear contrast. I do agree with you that we are all here to support the party manifesto, be it in the executive and in the legislature, because the party manifesto was exactly what got us elected in the first place. It was the campaign promises we made, it was the platform upon which we were elected. So of course, naturally, we'd want to see more collaboration, more partnership. And yes, we want to see these trivialities of uniform wearing, of stepping down, confirmation of residential electoral commissioners, which is a very important integral part of the independent umpire of INEC.
So perhaps,
I think we want to see that over with, and would want to move on.
Uniform wearing might be described as trivial. People will wonder why it is that a Senate peopled more by APC senators, would emphasize that an appointee of the president wear uniform. So perhaps that could be described as trivial. But then when you look at, say, important confirmations like the confirmation of the EFCC chair for a party that campaigned largely on an anti-corruption slogan, would that also be described as trivial?
I don't think the confirmation, I know for a fact that the confirmation of the EFCC chair is not trivial. The Senate based their decision on a report they received from DSS. Up to now, as I'm talking to you, the DSS have not retracted, or they have not denied that they didn't send that report. So certainly, which means that report do exist. Would I have wanted to see the chairman of EFCC confirmed? Yes, absolutely. I would have wanted to see him for the second time confirmed. But I think these are things that can be resolved, and I think part of democracy, I think we have to, on the executive part, we have to be able to clear a certain audience table. We have to be able to talk to people, to the senators, and let them know why we need him, which is pretty obvious.
Are you saying that he should be represented? Are you suggesting that he be represented?
No, I'm not suggesting one way or another that he should be represented, but if the president decides to represent him, if he has a legal right to do so, I think we have to do a lot more work than we did in the past.